The first thing I'm going to do is do what I call a lay-in. And I like to use vine charcoal. And vine charcoal is made by taking willow trees and then they burn it in a certain way. So it's actually a charred twig. But what I like about vine charcoal is it's very loose and flexible, and it doesn't allow you to get too tight and detailed. What I try to do in my lay-in is it's sort of a map of where I'm going to be going, and gives me confidence that my composition is laid out kind of in a way that I can work with. But it also gives me the flexibility to change as I'm going along, so that I'm not anchored in to the drawing as being exactly right. I look at it as, well, I'm going to get there eventually with the drawing, but I don't have to have it exactly right. So it gives me more flexibility. So I've got a reference here, and the first thing I always like to do is to find the horizon line. And I'm going to guess, and it's always just a little bit of a guess where that is. And I'm going to get that in there, and I'm going to find the angle of this hill. I've got some cedar trees, and I'm just going to look for these shapes. This lay-in is really for me. It's not designed to be a finished painting. It's just gets me started on my idea. So I've got a big cedar tree here, and I've got this beautiful shadow shape. And coming across like this, and a big light area. And then I've got some distant hills back here that I'm going to lay in. And I've got some cast shadows coming across here. And that gives me my basic idea. And to me, a painting is about creating an idea in your painting. And if it's simple and clear, then the viewer will catch on to the idea that you are trying to present, and you're good to go. But he needs your direction. When you're the artist, you're the director like Alfred Hitchcock. You have to lead them along and make your composition clear. And if you do that, you'll connect with the viewer, and then that'll be sort of a magic for you. So I've got my basic lay-in now, and I'm going to go in and I'll make a couple of little value notations. I've got the trees and the shadow coming from this side. And really all of this is pretty much in shadow. So there's my lay-in, and I feel confident about it. It's important to be confident with your painting at the start, because if you start and you're kind of hesitant, things are going to get worse, and those paintings hardly ever work out. So I try to at least trick myself to be confident when I'm started. So my lay-in is very important, and it tells me where I want to go, and gives me confidence to start. So I'm ready to start. And I'm going to do something a little different, show you another little trick that I've developed. And this is an underpainting. I'm going to do an underpainting with acrylic matte medium, and I'm going to do it by liquefying pastel. And this is something that I kind of came up with myself. It's a little bit different. There's a lot of different methods for underpainting, but I think this is simple and easy, and that's what I like, simple and easy. So I'm going to get a sponge. This is going to be what I'm going to manipulate my underpainting with. You could use different sponges and all kinds of different things, but I love this 1-inch foam because it's easy to handle, and it doesn't make me be too tight. I'm kind of loose with it. So I'm going to look through my subject, and I'm going to get some pastel down in a in a lavender tone. And I know that when I liquefy with the matte medium, that it's going to get a little darker. And I don't want a ton of the color on. I just want to put a little bit on. And this is going to seem a little strange at first, but once you get this idea, it's a very great way to get your painting really rolling and create a lot of color unity right off the bat. And it's really a lot of fun too. Okay. And I'm going to pour out a little matte medium. And matte medium is the bonding agent. It bonds really well. But it is kind of a plastic product. It's a polymer. So you don't want to put it on really thickly. You just want to put it on thin. And I'm going to dip my sponge in. And I'm going to kind of pretend like I'm painting with my sponge a little bit. I've got this big shadow shape. And I've got this shadow shape coming down this hill. And I'm going to kind of follow the contour of the hill. And I've got these cedar trees, and I'm just going to kind of draw those in. And anything that remains of this drawing, it's kind of adds a lively quality. Well, I've got my cedar tree, and I'm going to dip in again. And this will be like in watercolor. This will be making the color a little less intense when I dip in again. So I've got this beautiful background. And I'm going to throw that in. And maybe work down in here and get some of the cast shadows in here. And that's about it. It's very easy to do, and I'll go ahead and do the sky too while I'm thinking about it. And just kind of unify the whole thing. Okay, and this dries pretty quickly. The acrylic dries very fast, and I like to work right into it when it's wet because it'll lock in really nice, and just kind of keep going with the painting process. So I'm going to put my sponge down and start to think about the color choices that I'm going to make.